What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you, as promised, the weekly Tokyo Ghoul review on Chapter 102. Okay, so I know this is probably up a little bit later than you all probably expected. I did say it was going to be out pretty damn late Sunday if it wasn't out, late Sunday or Saturday night, so yeah. But anyways, better late than never. I think we can all agree on that. And today, as I promised, I'm here to bring you all the weekly Tokyo Ghoul review. So, this chapter, oh my. This chapter is fucking incredible for many different reasons. I mean, character development for Sato, to Nico coming back into the plot, to, what Nico even says about some of the characters, to, the whole white suits and Kaneki situation, Kaneki talking about Jason, to, just parallels to the Jason fight with Kaneki. I just mean, there's a lot of things in this chapter that truly just stand out. I mean, other iconic characters that popped up from the first chapter and haven't really made a big appearance since then are now back into the series. I mean, Ishida's making some really good moves with this chapter, and I'm excited to see what he's kind of setting up for the future. So, to begin, I just want to say, the chapter is called Great Will. That's supposedly the chapter title of Chapter 102 of Tokyo Ghoul Re. Now, personally, I looked up, a Great Will and all that. I looked up many different things, and the only thing I could assume that the title is referenced to, like the Great Will, is referencing to the Wheel of Fortune tarot card. That's the only thing I assume the title Great Will is going to, besides, obviously, the organization that's helping Kaneki. Yes, I know the organization is called Great Will, but I'm saying, no, we know how Ishida loves his hidden meaning with his titles and stuff. I mean, look, I've already discussed this many times in the past. If I had to assume, most likely, since it's called, like, the Great Will or something, it might have something to do with the Wheel of Fortune. Now, like I said, I could be wrong with that, too. There is a possibility, but, I mean, I'm assuming. Since this is Ishida, he loves having meaning with his titles. Possibility. So, with that being said, though, to begin, let's talk about the situation with Nico. Nico, he pops up, and he managed to find Kaneki's entire hideout where Banjo, Nishiki, and all of them are with relative ease. And this is actually something that's kind of scary. I mean, for one, if someone like that could find you, Nico can find you, that means that others can find you. That means someone like Furuta can find you. That means the Washus, V, CCG, they can find you. Other ghouls can find you. Now, we don't know if it's just Nico that has this information, which we can assume he's the only one. But at this time, though, if he could find Kaneki and them, obviously others can, too. At the end of the day, when it comes to this chapter, we don't know what type of role Nico's trying to play. He does state that he wants to earn favors with the king. He wants to earn favors with Kaneki and kind of make, Kaneki respect him. But we don't know what his true angle is. What's really making this man move? What is his true, motive to do what he is doing throughout this chapter? But we do know, however, he probably is doing something that's completely different from what Furuta wants. Furuta, as we know, he is the Black King. He wants to be the Wash King, controlled, the human side, and he has his own little schemes and stuff he's been, planning. I highly doubt Nico is moving according to what Furuta wants. We do know Furuta has been using the clowns in the previous chapters, especially framing Kaneki and his organization, Goat, because, we saw clowns attacking many different CCG wards, and we know we saw the clown mask, and most likely Nico is not a part of this. I mean, the way he came about this, the way he talked to Kaneki, he had this information, all that, he just seems way too friendly, and the way he just overall was moving throughout the chapter, it didn't feel like he was someone that was trying to fuck them over, frame them, or whatever. He might in the end. I mean, he might be a good actor, but at this time, though, I don't think he necessarily has anything completely evil that has something to do with Furuta or the other characters that are part of CCG or, V or Washu. So, Nico right now, mystery, but I feel like he's actually something good, because, I mean, he could be a source of information for Kaneki's organization, because we do know clowns, they can get information, relatively good information, and Nico has seemed like he knows some things throughout the world of Tokyo Ghoul, like he's known certain things that's going on with the One-Eye King and stuff like that throughout the journey, and I mean, maybe, he does know some things, and he might be a good informant for Kaneki to be able to press forward and also, complete his goal of what he wants, bridging the gap between humans and ghouls alike. So, anyways, the reason how Nico managed to get here in the first place was thanks to Roma's Kagane. And, like I've already stated, if he could find her, and find the location, anyone can, if you're a clown or you know how it works. But, it's kind of assuming, or making us assume maybe Nico is the only one that can find it. But I still believe if he could find it, other clowns most likely can too, which could lead to a very bad outcome for Kaneki. So Nico got there thanks to Roma, leaving some form of evidence behind for he can follow. Now, as the dialogue continues on, we have it to where he pretty much states that he doesn't really care about Roma at all. He doesn't give a shit about her. You can do whatever you want with her. You can literally violate her if you want to. He doesn't give a shit at all. Now, I don't know if these words he's stating is necessarily true, because, here, let me actually read what he says here. So he's like, they're asking, are you here for Roma? And he's like, you see, Roma, even when she was, in the prison, she was quite the idiot. For instance, always causing problems, not keeping her head down, just being completely stupid, and just causing everyone trouble. That's most likely what he's saying. He's like, no, I'm not here for her. Beat her black and blue or violate her, I couldn't care less. And you have it to where Roma, she's actually just saying, come on, get over here right now, Nico, come and save me. And now, we don't know if Roma's actually hoping that Nico comes and saves her or not, but the way Nico's, operating, he doesn't really care about technically rescuing her right now. He doesn't feel like pulling her out of Kaneki's grasp and having her in prison. He's not trying to do that at all. He's fine with, Roma being captured, and I'm assuming he just doesn't care if she just gets completely abused. He just doesn't, the way he stated it. So, his objective is completely different. Now, he could be lying, obviously. He could be just saying these things to show he doesn't care, but there could be a bigger, plan being set in motion that's behind the scenes that we're completely unaware of at this time. But, I mean, right now, though, he doesn't seem to really care. But, I mean, judging by his interaction with Roma, how he's, went to parties with her and stuff like that, I've always assumed Roma and Nico have had a good relationship. I thought that, they liked each other. I mean, they might disagree or whatever in certain things, but I always assumed maybe they were good friends. I mean, judging by how they always interacted with each other throughout the series of Teachy Part 2 and 1. So, yeah, it's kind of surprising seeing him say something like this about Roma, but, I mean, at the same time, he's trying to do something else. He's looking at the grand scheme of things. He's looking at Kaneki and stuff, not at Roma. So, I mean, yeah, other things are definitely building up behind the scenes. Anyways, if you look very closely at Roma, if you look at her appearance that pops up, you see that something is moving underneath her. You actually clearly see indications of sound effects underneath her. On the first page, go to the first page of Tokyo Ghoul, chapter 102. If you look at Roma sitting or laying on the ground, like she's on her side, and then she flips on to her chest, you see, like, some form of Kagane coming out, or something is coming out. If you look very closely, you see sound effects. Now, I can't read those sound effects, obviously, so if you can, let me know what's saying. You can correct me. But, I mean, it looks like, judging by the way it's drawn now, it could be scans fucking up, but it looks like something is coming out of Roma, and it might be some form of Kagane or something. She's trying to activate it, and if we do remember, Roma has shown to be able to have a Kagane come kind of out of her chest. Like, here, I'll pull up her wiki and just even read it right here. So, like an unknown Kagane. She is known to be able to create up to 8 to 9 of these Kagane, and can send them into the ground to surprise opponents from unexpected angles. From it appears it's either a Rinkaku or a Bikaku, and she seems to be able to have it come completely through her chest, if you look at the pictures that connect with it. So, you can assume what she's doing right there while she's laying on the ground is she's inserting her Kagane into the ground. Maybe she's trying to dig a hole or something very slowly. Maybe she's trying to, whittle between, the flooring and trying to open up a hole or something. Something's definitely going on, because we do know she can bury her Kagane into the ground and through objects, and the way she's, doing this, she flips on, you see these noises, and you see these tiny little Kagane-like structures coming out. It looks like it, then that's probably what she's doing. She's slowly digging her way out of the prison, so she knows that Roma most likely, or she knows herself, Nico's not coming to save her, and she's doing this, and the reason why she wants Nico to come here in the first place is because Nico most likely could do something to offer us a distraction, or something to where Roma could continue to do whatever she wants to be able to escape this prison. So something like that most likely is going down. Anyways, moving on and carrying on to what is happening, Nico pops up with something that really would interest Kaneki's side. So, as you know, he says he wants to earn favors with Kaneki. He wants to make it to where Kaneki kind of owes him a favor, and he wants it to where, Kaneki respects him. And, in a way, as soon as he walks into this area, he sees Akira. He sees Akira on the bed, she's having a fever, she seems sick, she's dying, and he looks down at her, he's like, she's going to die. He just point-blank says she is going to die. And you gotta remember, he stated he's coming here to earn favors, and then he also is here to kind of earn respect too from them, and so him doing this is kind of like his first step into showing, hey, I'm on your side, I'm not trying to fuck you, I'm actually trying to help you out in the long run, and so he's trying to offer some help, and Sato sees this, which leads into some actual interesting facial expressions from this man. As we know, Sato as a character, he's been building up throughout a lot of Part 2 of Tokyo Ghoul. As a character, he is someone that used to be very weak-willed, and the way he was taken off and then turned into a ghoul, it's a very tragic. He was tortured, and I mean, this man went through so much hell thanks to what Dr. Kano did to him. I mean, it was completely fucked up when we saw that flashback, and he's kind of been broken. He's been chained down, and he's been shackling his own self, and finally he's tried to unshackle himself, and he's trying to, you know, go and try to be a new person. He's trying to become a better man, and you see to where he finally put aside the difference he had with Akira to try to save her, and that's what he's doing right now. You can see how he's carried himself throughout the recent chapters. He truly cares about her. He doesn't want her to die, and he realizes the position she's in. If she is to get a doctor, and if it was an actual doctor, like, you know, go to a hospital or something, she's already went against CCG's orders, the countermeasure law, and so she would automatically be sentenced to death in prison or whatever. So he knows she already risked so much just for him. She risked her entire career, everything she set up to do for a very long time just for Sato, and Sato knows this, and he actually respects her quite a bit for that. And so he's doing everything he can to possibly save her, and that's why he talks to Nico in such a harsh way. He's like, you need to save her. I mean, it's kind of sad, but also it shows that this man is finally chilling down. He's finally being able to open up. He's someone that actually does care about someone. He doesn't care about himself, and he's kind of let go of that aggression he's always had towards Akira. He's always been in the second or third spot. He's always been second place. He's never been able to be better than Akira, and even though you can kind of consider he's still not better than her, he's still doing a good step. He's kind of letting that go. He realizes that there's more things here that are important, and he's trying to help out Akira in any way he possibly can. Now, with that being said, we find out that Nico and Banjo, they have a conversation about healing humans. Nico's like, yeah, you know how Yamori, how he used to torture a bunch of people, how he used to go out of his way, torture Kaneki and other ghouls and stuff, and humans and stuff. Well, I learned a few tricks in my time. I managed to find out how to kind of heal humans after many trial and, you know, error. I was able to heal a couple people. You know, I know a few tricks. And he's like, it's not, you know, 100% healing. I can't, you know, heal humans completely back if they're going to freaking die, like, you know, what's going on with Akira, but he can heal basic injuries, most likely. Like, I guess, like a little cut or a wound or something like that, maybe he's able to fix up. And so he learns some things over time of spending time with Jason, and he's like, Banjo, I mean, I could tell this is your first time. I could tell this is your first time trying to heal a human, and I mean, you did kind of a sloppy, fucked up job, but I mean, overall, thanks to what you did, though, she is going to probably survive if she does get the proper help she needs right now from a human doctor. So Banjo did a good thing, but if the RC cells are not removed, it's going to lead into complicated matters, which I've discussed already in my live reaction, but also previously. I mean, it's going to either lead into ROS, rejection of the RC cells inside, or she's going to turn into like a half-human / half-ghoul. Something like that is going to happen. And so we see how her body's probably rejecting the RC cells, or it's developing ROS, because she's still sick, she's sweating, it's brought up in this chapter, he's like, she's going to die. So clearly, it's not good if they don't get a doctor. She will die. And there might be some irreversible effects once everything is said and done. Like, let's just say Akira does get fixed, which I'm assuming she will. We're not in the clear yet. We don't know if Akira will not have everlasting effects after being healed. She might develop ROS in the future. We don't know clearly how completely ROS works yet. I mean, we know some things, we could speculate, but we don't know completely how all of it works yet. And, I mean, there's a potential possibility. It could be like, you know, cancer. Eventually it just pops up and it happens. I mean, you never know. Maybe, like, 50 chapters down the road, Akira gets ROS. It pops up on her cheek and it just starts growing out, and then she's out of combat. Potential possibility. Or she could, you know, maybe have some everlasting scars or something to her body. Or she might turn into some form of half-human, half-ghoul, or be a little bit stronger than she normally was. I mean, something could happen, and we'll have to see where it goes. But it's not something that normally happens, since ghouls and humans don't usually interact with each other. As we know, humans and ghouls, they don't like each other. That's the whole point of what Kaneki's trying to do. And with this being stated, it's probably rare for a ghoul to try to heal a human being. It's probably a rare freaking thing to see. So it's probably something that's not completely tested a lot. So what Banjo did is probably something untested. Untested waters with different individuals, which could lead into some unexpected outcomes. Now, getting off of that, let's talk about Yamori's the entire importance of this chapter. He was brought up multiple times in this chapter. Not just by Nico, but also by Kaneki and Naki. Now, Naki usually brings him up, but the way Kaneki brought this man up throughout multiple times in this chapter truly surpassed my expectations, and it really develops, Kaneki a little bit more of how he understands what Yamori did, which I'll get into. But Yamori's role in this chapter and the role in the series still holds weight to this day. And I mean, that's something I've always appreciated about Tokyo Ghoul, is that one thing Ishida always does with his characters, if a character goes through some form of trauma, or a character dies, or this character dies, usually they will hold some form of weight with the character. It's kind of like this, okay? Kaneki, as we know, he was tortured. He went through so many fucked up ways of reinventing himself, destroying and reinventing himself constantly throughout the journey of part 1 and 2, that it was just maddening. I mean, the amount of character development he got was crazy. But, at the same time, I like how even though he's now in a better spot, he is now a king, he is now someone that's kind of figured out he needs to live on, those wounds from the past still live on. They're not gone. They're not something you could just throw under the rug or sweep under the rug and they're gone. They will stick with Kaneki for the rest of his life. They will always be there. He just has now accepted everything that has happened. He now has come to terms with everything that's happened, shitty things that's happened in his life, good things that happen in his life. He's accepted it all. And it still happened. It still carries weight. It's thanks to all these things that happened to Kaneki as to why he can be the man he is today. And not many writers do something like that. I mean, you don't know how many writers I have seen to where they write a character and have like some form of important event happen to the main character. Either a character dies that's close to the main character, or he goes through some form of like major trauma, but then after everything is said and done with that arc, it's never brought up again. It doesn't really hold any significant weight at all for the remainder of the series. And I'm just really appreciative of Ishida to do this and constantly let us know that these different things that really have affected Kaneki and other characters still hold weight to this day. Even though Yamori has been dead very early on in Tokyo Ghoul, since part 1, he still holds this much weight in the series to this day, when Naki's mentality, how he views everything, how Kaneki carries himself, symbol of strength, all of that, all these things that's changed these characters, it still holds to this day, even though Yamori is dead. And that, I have to say, is good writing, Ishida. I just really need to congratulate you on being able to write a great character like Jason, how even though he's dead, he still is technically here and living amongst us and able to actually still develop our characters. So, carrying on, let's talk about the organization that the card they get. They're given a card that pretty much lets them know that there's a human organization that's kind of operating under the radar. It's called the Great Will. And this organization, they're actually with a bunch of humans working together, just trying to help out humans. And the reason why is because they probably respect ghouls, or they know ghouls are not all entirely evil. And I mean, this is to be expected. We've seen some of, these ghoul organizations, or, human organizations that love ghouls on the news when, Eto revealed her book. We saw this type of stuff. And as I've already discussed many, chapters ago, that this is probably going to be a big part that Kaneki needs to kind of add into his ranks. I mean, it's not just ghouls he needs to recruit. He needs to be able to recruit humans as well. I mean, you got to think about this. Kaneki is trying to make a bridge between both species. Even though they're similar but different, he's trying to build a bridge. And to do this, you can't just recruit ghouls. I mean, it sounds like a good plan. Recruit a bunch of strong ghouls, go after, V and, Washus and, CCG. It's GG right there. You remove the main threat, but that doesn't stop the bigger picture. Let's just say Kaneki and, the organization GOAT, they managed to wipe out V, Washu, CCG, the next chapter. Let's just hypothetical, okay? Let's say that happens. They wipe out that entire organization. Another organization will form in that place. No matter what you do, there will be someone that steps up to become the mantle or the next CCG. Maybe not a ghoul clan, maybe like the Washus, but some form of CCG agents will step up to try to fight against the ghouls. It will always happen. And so when you think about it like this, you cannot just go about this with pure force. You can't just go in with nothing but ghouls and take out CCG, take out V, take out Washus. You can't do that. It's just not a potential possibility. You could, but it won't have a good outcome because it's just a temporarily fix. It's not going to fix the bigger issue at hand. You need to be able to win ghouls and humans to your side. And that's what Kaneki has to do. And with this group, helping out Akira is kind of a step towards that. I mean, we've already seen some interactions with some of our human characters interacting with some of our ghoul characters, and this is once again another step towards that. Ghouls and humans interacting, working together, and understanding one another, that they don't need to be food, like humans aren't food for ghouls, and, you know, humans don't need to be fearful of ghouls and say, oh shit, they're gonna kill me, or we need to kill them or turn them in. They're mutually understanding each other and not trying to slit each other's throats, and this is building up towards that. So Kaneki, he needs to recruit more of these organizations. This is very important for his operation to continue to gain support. He can't just have ghouls, he needs humans. So, next thing I need to talk about is Naki. So Naki, he goes into a room which you see a bunch of white suits. So you remember the white suit situation I talked about at the end of the last chapter review I did? I'm like, I don't know what, you know, Tsukiyama's doing with the white suits. I mean, you know, we know Kaneki wants them. We just don't know exactly what he completely wants to do. And we don't know if he was talking about the white suits Naki, or if he was talking about white suits in general for, you know, his, you know, entire getup for his organization. We really didn't know. We had no idea, but now we kind of know. It's Tsukiyama, he was, you know, getting some suits for the organization, and he makes it very clear to Naki, like, oh, I thought you didn't want to join the organization. I was just coming to get these white suits and all that. And he's like, you didn't really decide to side with us, so, yeah. It's a secret why we're getting these white suits. I'm not going to tell you. So Naki getting a little bit pissed off, but overall, though, it confirms that he wasn't going after the white suits. He was actually just trying to gather white suits for some form of operation in the future. Maybe Kaneki, who was planning this, though, and he was trying to kind of recruit the white suits, too, while also going after these white suits. Maybe Kaneki was trying to plan something like that. But there's another operation going on behind the scenes that have to do with these suits. And this is not just, you know, Naki and the white suits. Very confusing, by the way. Holy shit. Okay. So, once they pretty much say they will never want to join Kaneki, Kaneki enters the room. And he's like, these are part of our plan. And Kaneki's like, Misa, did you explain everything and all that? Like, you know, what we were doing and, like, why we need the suits? And Misa's like, oh, well, I was trying to. I was in mid-conversation, but that man read off and all that. He was just, you know, he didn't want to hear none of it. And then she's like, my bad. Which, if you think about Naki's personality, it makes a lot of sense. This is the type of character he is. He is someone that's constantly showed that he doesn't really care about Kaneki, dislikes Kaneki because of what happened to Jason. But he's also someone, when he sets his mind to something, or if he doesn't care about something, he'll probably do something like that. And so Naki, once again, I love him. He's such a great character. I mean, he's so stupid, but he's such a funny stupid, but such a good character with great morals and stuff. I truly respect him. So I can't wait to see more Naki in the future of these arcs, because, I mean, Ishida has such a good character here he's written with Naki, and he's definitely going to be a very critical role in the future of Tokyo Ghoul, especially since he is the... I guess Kaneki is the new leader of the White Suit since he defeated Naki, but let's just say Kaneki isn't, since he's just the king. Naki's kind of like the main stand-in. He's like, I'm the, you know, the main person that controls the White Suits besides Kaneki. So it's kind of like he's a strong person, and Kaneki has this good guy, the strong guy underneath him, and I hope Naki continues to showcase his strength and just his great character development, characterization in future arcs to come. So, let's get into this dialogue here. This is something that truly holds a lot of weight in this chapter. As I already said earlier on this video, Jason pops up multiple times, and his weight in the series still retains to this day. And Naki says, joining hands with the fucker that killed our big bro, that just ain't our style. That Naki point blank states, this is not our style, joining with someone that just kills our big bro like that. Just no, we're not joining you. And I love this one panel. This is by far probably one of my favorite panels, besides the action panel that comes up. This is by far one of my favorite panels, just because of how Kaneki, he looks to the side, he just looks away from Naki, he looks down, and he's like, style, huh? Remember what the big arc, the last arc was about before, you know, Rue Island? It's about, you know, Kaneki, you know, dying in style, you know, finding his path and all that. You know, the entire fight with Arima, he wanted to die in style. And when he says style, huh, it's like he's remembering, like, huh, my style, you know, I had a style that was very destructive. I wanted to just, you know, protect others instead of myself. I didn't know how to protect myself, and my style of just dying in style, just, it's crazy. I mean, the way he looks down, you can see how Kaneki reflects on what he did in the past, and he realizes how much he's changed and probably how foolish he was. It's something that you really can't see. Like, you don't see any dialogue to it besides that one word he says, just style, huh? but, I mean, you know there's a lot going on in his head. He's thinking a lot about what he did in the past in the previous arc, and the way Ishida could just craft a panel like this and let us know so many emotions that's going on in this character's head is truly great. And so, good job Ishida for being able to do something like that. With just one panel, you let us know Kaneki is contemplating what's truly happened in the past. Not with just what Jason, but also him wanting to die in style. So, Kaneki, he rephrases and says, "We ghouls are made to steal from each other." And when he states, those are Yamori's words. Now, this is exactly Yamori's words. He actually said that in Part 1 Tokyo Ghoul, and it's kind of true if you think about it. Ghouls constantly steal from each other. I mean, they always fight for territory, they fight for food, they steal from humans, they steal their lives, just all sorts of different things. Ghouls constantly steal from each other. And that was one of the big things about Yamori's character that he stated to Kaneki. And, I mean, when he states this, he's like, after Yamori's death, after Jason died, he was someone that made me fight on his style. His style of, you know, fighting. For instance, you know, how you need to steal from each other. Kaneki stole Yamori's life, or he could continue living on. That's kind of what Kaneki did. And with the way he viewed Yamori after all that was done, he viewed Yamori as someone as a symbol of strength. As we know, Jason did some very horrific shit to Kaneki. It was just absolutely disgusting. But Kaneki still, despite all of this, I mean, he probably still hated the man. He probably still dislikes the man. But he still, in some way, he respects Jason for kind of what he represented. I mean, even though he's kind of like an asshole, what he did was just something you shouldn't do, still, at the end of the day, he was someone that Kaneki can kind of respect, because he was someone that was strong, someone that got things done, and that's something that really drove Kaneki throughout the second half of Tokyo Ghoul. I mean, it was a real big part of him. I mean, he became a stronger-willed person. It's kind of like he became Jason itself. He was someone that was carrying on Jason's legacy. I mean, he pops his fingers to this day, his knuckles and all that. He pops them, and that's a trait from, you know, Jason. It's just something that's lived with him. He's popped that trait up, and maybe every time he does that, it's kind of like he's bringing up his symbol of strength. He's remembering Jason. He's remembering that, you know, this man, he was just so strong, and every time I think about me needing to be stronger, I think of this man because of how crazy he was, and how that moment had so much impact on Kaneki and changing him for who he was. He was such a weak-willed individual that didn't want to face the reality, but then he realized he needed to be strong. Even though that situation, it fucked him up, Kaneki was able to come to a plateau to where he was able to reinvent himself and become a better person to what he is right now. So he respects Jason for allowing him to get to this point. Kaneki's kind of saying, I respect Jason for allowing me to be the man I am to this day. I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for Jason. That's what he's kind of saying to Naki. Now, the next thing is that Naki is like, I will never accept you. And you have Kaneki's like, okay, so if there's no way, is there any way, like your style, is there any way that can assure that you'll follow me or be with me if I use your style? What's your style say, Naki? So if I was to follow your procedures, how would you follow me, or when would you follow me if I did whatever you wanted to do? And he's like, okay, it's simple. In the 13th ward, we have a fight to the death. The first person to beat the shit out of each other, and the one to die, or whoever submits, is the one, you know, that loses. The one that wins becomes the leader of the white suits. So this is letting us know that if Kaneki can beat the shit out of Naki, that would mean that Kaneki becomes the leader of the white suits, and Naki can't say nothing about it. It's because Kaneki showed that he's strong, he has strength, and he's someone that is fit to actually lead the white suits, which in a very way is symbolic if you think about it, because, I mean, look, Kaneki, he was tortured so much by the very man Jason. As I've stated, I mean, Jason tortured Kaneki, and you have to where Kaneki becomes the very man that tortured him. I mean, he's not torturing people, but I mean, he becomes in the same role and status as what Jason was. Jason was the leader of the white suits, and now Kaneki is the leader of the white suits. It's just so symbolic and has so much meaning if you think about how that looks, because just how much Jason affected Kaneki, but now how Kaneki's taking that role. It's just like, can you believe, if you would have read Tokyo Ghoul right now, like, just started, and you went back to that, and you didn't know what was happening here, would you have believed Kaneki would be leading the white suits? Just let me honestly know in the comments below. I'm curious how many of you believe Kaneki would actually lead the white suits after everything that's happened to him. Please let me know honestly in the comments below. Anyways, Kaneki pops his, fingers, and so does Naki, which represents how much these two were affected by Jason, and this is a very serious fight. And we know this is a trait that Jason has and Kaneki picked up on, and also Naki, but more onto that, we do know that this is also a sign of strength. Like, they're entering the battle and they're actually visualizing strong, power, stuff like that. It's like Kaneki's, imagining strength. And here we go, and this is what he does. So, the fight begins, and Misa wants to intervene. And you have it to where the other white suit's like, no, Misa, you can't intervene. This is between Naki and Kaneki. Do not intervene in this. Don't insult them. If you do, it's pretty much fucked up. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like two generals on a battlefield. You know what series I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about, generals. It's kind of like two generals on the battlefield. They're amongst their thousands of soldiers, but then you have it to where the generals are fighting each other. They're looking at each other. They decide to fight to the death, and all the men around them do not intervene in the generals' fight, because it would be dishonor if you try to intervene with the generals fighting each other. If they're wanting to have a duel, you cannot stop that duel. It's just a dishonor for your commander. So stuff like this is kind of what's going on here. He's like, do not insult Naki, Misa. You do not go in there and stop this fight. This is a fight that needs to happen to settle. If one of them dies, one of them dies. Even if it's Naki, we have to accept it because he decided to accept the duel, and so did Kaneki. So if Kaneki died, it's his own fault. If Naki dies, it's his own fault. So that's kind of what was being represented here. Like, this needs to be handled in this way. Nothing else can be done. So, the fight goes on, and it's completely one-sided, which is to be expected. I mean, this is a man that fought with Arima, and anyone that can fight with Arima, and half fight with Arima, is not going to be someone that's a pushover. And so, we know Kaneki instantly has the upper hand in just technique, fighting abilities, Kagane, and all sorts of stuff like that. He just instantly is completely better than Naki in terms of fighting. And Naki probably already knows this. I mean, even though Naki's stupid, I don't think he's that stupid. I don't think he is that stupid to where he knows that he thinks he's stronger than Kaneki. He's probably doing it out of his pride and his anger and his love for his big bro, Yamori. And that's why he's standing up to Kaneki, which I respect that. I really respect that from Naki. He probably knows that he's nowhere near as strong, but he still does it anyways because of how much respect he has for the white suits, everybody that follows him, but also his big bro. So Kaneki defeats this man, and all the fighting right here, it's kind of very similar to how Jason and Kaneki fought in part 1. I mean, when Naki grabs Kaneki's leg, Kaneki spins completely around, breaks his leg, and just kicks this man completely in the face. And as soon as he does this, Naki's like, doesn't that hurt? What the fuck? And Kaneki's like, yeah, it does. It hurts a lot. And this implies that Kaneki recognizes he feels pain. It's kind of not like how he was in the past. He was ignoring pain, saying it doesn't hurt anymore. He just doesn't give a shit. He's actually saying, yes, I hurt. It does hurt. He's admitting that he does hurt. He's not keeping everything to himself like he was in the past. Kaneki would never say something like that in part 1, or even earlier portions of Tokyo Ri. He would never really say stuff like that. He wouldn't say he's hurting in the heart, hurting in his body. He would always put up the strong persona like it doesn't hurt, even if he took a big wound. And then, now he's actually admitting, even though he's able to carry out and hit Naki in the face, he's still saying, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like I'm showing an emotion, or I'm smiling while I'm getting hurt, but yes, it does hurt. And so it's kind of like this. Two ways you can look at this. Kaneki, he's looking at it as if, yes, it hurts, and he's smiling at him, but also he's smiling at him to say, this lets me know that I am alive. Every time he feels pain, he knows that he is alive. He wants to live. He doesn't want to feel this anymore, and he just wants to continue moving forward. And I feel this is once again more acceptance. Kaneki, showcasing how he's a new changed man. He's not like how he used to be in the past. So once again, more character development with just one panel from Ishida Sensei in this chapter. So yeah, you just gotta love Kaneki as a character, how he constantly gets development like this. Naki looks up at Kaneki, and he sees a Kagane that looks very similar to Jason's. Very strikingly similar. And I already mentioned this in my live reaction, so I don't think I need to go deep into it, but it's like what Eto said a long time ago to Kaneki. The way your Kaguya and your Kagane takes form and shape is thanks to your imagination, how you view it. It's just like how Kaneki's entire shape turned into like a bug type shape. Like Centipede is thanks to how he imagined it, how he viewed himself. There was a darker meaning to why he viewed himself like that. And so seeing this form, it's kind of like with Kaneki showing this Kagane that looks like Jason. It's like he's imagining if he was Jason. He's like saying, I am the new Jason. I may not be despicable or someone that wants to torture someone, but I'm kind of envisioning Jason when I'm fighting you, Naki. And that's what's going on here. That's why his Kagane took that shape. That's why Naki was reminded of his big bro, because Kaneki changed up his, Kagane kind of like that to kind of represent it. Even though Kaneki ate his Kakuho, ate Jason's Kakuho, he even states it in this chapter he did, he still was kind of visualizing it. He was visualizing it in his mind of why, his Kagane looked like that. It was thanks to thinking about Jason, fighting Naki and all that. That's why his Kagane really took that shape. Now, after all that, once the fight's over, it's already clear as day that Kaneki has won, so Naki automatically needs to accept that, Kaneki is the new leader of the White Suits, thanks to the rules. And he's like, if you're gonna die, if you're gonna die, okay, you're gonna die a dog's death, you're gonna die in the gutters, you're gonna die at just a pointless, shitty death. Why don't you die with actual meaning? Why don't you die under me, Naki? If you die under me, at the very least, you will be able to accomplish something with your death. If you want to die in the gutters, fine. Don't stop yourself. But when you die, though, just think, what you're doing, though, is for a greater cause, a greater good. And so it'll have meaning, it'll have weight. It just won't be a pointless death. You will actually be able to die in a correct way, something that fits you. And so, Kaneki acting very kingly in this panel when he says, die under me. It's something that truly just hits you when you think about it, because you don't think a character like Kaneki, how he started off and all that, and how he now has become the One-Eyed King, could just say something like that. Die under me. It's like he's saying, I am the king. Do you want to serve me? And if you do, die under me. That's badass. That's such a badass fucking panel. Just seeing Kaneki say something like that and acting like a true king. Oh, I love that. I freaking love that. That is my favorite panel of the chapter. Just die under me. Naki accepts, and everything is corrected. So, that's good. That's very good. Naki has accepted. He has joined Kaneki's cause, and now the operation can begin with the White Suits, whatever Tsukiyama needs him for. Now, the final part of the chapter ends off with, the Great Will, the card with Ogra. So, Ogra. Okay, so, this character, FYI, I've already mentioned it, but just in case you forgot, Ogra is the guy in Chapter 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. He's at the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul. This is the exact same man that actually was the one talking about ghouls on the news and gave Kaneki information about ghouls and stuff like that. That's the exact same man. This character that seemed to be completely pointless, someone on the news, apparently is very vital to the plot of Tokyo Ghoul. So, yeah. I just gotta say right now, Ashita, that, I guess I should have expected it if I do think about it. I mean, you gotta realize, okay? Ashina has added Furuta, okay, as a main iconic character now. He's the in-game boss, and he was a character that was kind of shown or set up everything in the first chapter, and this character is so important now. Ogra, I mean, if we know anything about Ashita, okay, if we know anything, this is a man that has done some savage shit with the first chapter and how he foreshadows stuff. If I know anything now by Ashita, and judging by what he's done with characters that appeared in the first chapter, someone like, if Furuta could pop out of that chapter, I can't imagine how good Ogra is going to be. Someone that was just a traditional person on the news and stuff like that, talking about, ghouls. I can't imagine how good this man's going to be as a character. I mean, we probably look at him as if he's a stereotypical person that's just trying to be good to ghouls, but there could be more here to this. He could be a very crazy character in the future that we all will be completely shocked about. So I cannot wait to see how Ashita writes this character and how different he is from my expectations of him, because if we know anything now, when it comes to the first chapter of Tokyo Ghoul, all those characters usually are very important. I mean, look at fucking Ide, look at Rize, look at Furuta now, look at Kaneki. I mean, we know, all those characters are very iconic and important. So when you see this, knowing this character now being introduced, I can sense this man being very important to the future endeavors of Tokyo Ghoul. Oh yeah, definitely. So that's about it. I mean, the chapter ends off with that. I mean, it's a very I guess, straightforward chapter. I think this video is a little bit shorter than normal, but I mean, I think everybody kind of gets the understanding of it. I mean, it's a simplistic chapter. There is some hidden meaning here and there, character development mostly, and I mean, a little bit of symbolism too, but still, a very good chapter. So let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. How'd you feel about this chapter? You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.